Hey, what's up everybody? It's Charlie with Charlie Mac Cooking, and today I'm going to show you a really simple way on how to make some Texas style brisket. So the brisket that I got for this video is a super trimmed brisket from HEB. It's a choice cut, not prime, but it still comes out great. So normally if I buy a packer brisket, I'm going to have to trim it down, but because it's already trimmed, I'm gonna go ahead and season. So what I like to season with is my HEB salt and pepper blend. I use a black pepper base first because it helps catch the smoke and it creates a lot of bark. I also really like HEB's brisket rub. There's so many different rubs that you can use, but surprisingly enough, after using all of those rubs, I end up coming right back to these simple basic rubs right here. I like the HEB brisket rub because it does put a lot of good color on the brisket and it also has really good flavor. Alright, so now that I've seasoned my brisket, it's time for us to go ahead and light the fire. So the wood that I'm using is post oak. I've used a lot of different woods. When I lived in West Texas, I used a lot of mesquite because that's what we had. Here you usually see a lot of hickory and pecan. Hickory is pretty good for brisket. Pecan can be a little sweet, but you can still do it. But true to Texas and Central Texas, post oak is king. And honestly, I like post oak because it burns real medium and it's got great flavor and it smells amazing. Alright, so I placed my brisket on the pit. My temperature is running around 225 to 250 degrees. I placed the point, which is the big fatty part of the brisket, closest to the fire, but I want to put the brisket in around the middle of the pit. And then I do add a small water pan right next to the chamber where the fire is, because that's going to really help provide moisture in the cooking area. Alright, so now that my brisket's on the pit, I'm going to go ahead and smoke it at 225 to 250 degrees. And I'm trying to create some good color and some good bark. And I'm going to do this until the internal temperature of the brisket reaches around 165 to 170. So one of the most important parts of barbecue is fire management. So you want to manage your fire and keep your temperature consistent. So we're looking at maintaining our temperature anywhere between 225 and 250 degrees. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my brisket with water using a spray bottle every hour just to make sure that I keep it moist. I also want to analyze the brisket to look at the color. You see that color is starting to turn dark red. It's getting that bark, and that's what I'm looking for. From here, it's just more fire management and patience. You want to wait until that temperature gets to around 165 degrees. Alright, so now my brisket has reached 170 degrees. I like the bark, it's nice and dark, and I've put a lot of smoke on the brisket. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap my brisket in butcher paper. Some people use tallow. For this video, I'm going to add a couple of spoons of butter, and this is going to help keep my brisket nice and moist. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw my brisket back on the pit, wrapped up in the butcher paper, and I'm going to maintain the cooking temperature of 225 degrees to 250 until the internal temperature of the brisket reaches 205 degrees. Alright, so after a lot of time has passed, as you can see, the temperature is around 203 to 205 degrees. So to me, the brisket is done. I'm going to go ahead and pull it off the pit. It's also really important to let your brisket rest. I like to let my brisket rest anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, but I'm gonna go ahead and cover it in towels and then just let it rest in a pan on the counter. All right, after a long time of waiting, the brisket has been rested, so now it's time to go ahead and unwrap it. I'm really pleased with the color of the brisket. It's very shiny and juicy. I did pour any excess juice back onto the brisket and kind of rubbed it around, but overall I'm very happy with the way that it looks. The flat of this brisket, which is the lean part, turned out very juicy. It pulled right apart. The point of the brisket, which is the tender part, was extremely juicy. I was really happy with it. This slice had a really nice smoke ring and the bark on the outside was perfect. Today, I wanted to chop the brisket because I wanted to eat it in some brisket sandwiches instead of slicing it, so I just went ahead and chopped it up. On my sandwich, I used a buttered brioche bun, a Central Texas barbecue sauce, some sliced onions, and some pickles. I was really happy with the way that this brisket came out. It was a lot of fun cooking it, and I hope that this video helped you to be able to learn a little bit more about how I cook my brisket. If you enjoyed watching this, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Texas Cooking with Charlie Mack.